Well, hey, adio everyone, Lost Leader here. We're back in action for more Force of Will traction. That's right, we're going through more Ominous Winds of the Moon. And that means we gotta look at the black cards this time. The darkness cards. I really should phrase my things better. Berta Demise, 2 cost, quick cast card. Ain't that an interesting little tidbit, the little dinosaur, weird old thing. 6 attack, 6 defense, kind of good for a standard little bit. It also has a null effect too with that quick cast. When this card is put into your graveyard from the field, your opponent loses 600 life unless they banish a resonator. Pretty cool for an option, pretty cool as a little answer, pretty cool in general. It just sucks that it literally looks like a burb, because it says Berta Demise. It doesn't look anything close to a dinosaur, and it has no flying. But whatever. Point being, it has nice little answers to things. I like the idea of what this is trying to do, and frankly, I kind of think this is a pretty good card. I am not sure if Scarlet could use it all that much. I'm not sure if it'll be usable in other decks that are not with Scarlet, but it has all the premises of being able to do that. So I'm glad for this card. It's a sort of like, let's construct a deck and we'll add this. Black Leaf, 1 cost, 100 attack, 100 defense. Oh, you got the big stuff right there. Boom, 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 right there. Oh my god. This card's astounding. It has 100 attack defense. You can't beat that. Can't beat that damage. But for real though, it actually does have a kind of cool card effect. Banish this card, target J Resonator gains -400 until end of turn. Or it's a 1 cost no will, target J Resonator gains -200 until end of turn. You know where you could use this? In your sideboard. You know where you use this in your sideboard for? For Scarlet. Out of all the reasons to actually run a leaf card, like these weird little leaf cards and whatnot, this is probably the second most useful leaf card in the entire game. Well, you know, the small little ones. While I still think that light leaf is still the better one, black leaf is definitely has a little counterplay for itself, and I do think that it could find itself in decks that do not have a proper answer to Scarlet, but still want to answer it. And I think this is a pretty cool little thing. So I would definitely suggest running this on the sideboard. Aside from that, you really don't have to worry about it. You're probably better off with other cards. But it does have an interesting thing. Blooded Winds. It's a 3 cost Mystery Chant. Resonators gain -600 until end of turn. If this card was awakened, Resonators you control gain -600 until end of turn. Instead, remove a mystery counter from your J-Roller. So for a 3 cost with 1 mystery counter added onto there, you can make your opponent's Resonators just gain -600. At first it seems like it's going to be a really good card, but it just, when you think about it, there are better cards out there outright. I feel, in terms of getting rid of board wipes and everything, the final battle is still a better answer than this card ever will be, and while that will eventually get rotated out and this card will probably be in favor of it, for now there's no reason to run Blooded Winds. There just isn't. Once that happens, we'll talk Blooded Winds. Till then, no, there are better board wipes. Dark Buckaroo, good card. 2 costs, 0 attack, defense 1000, Fairy Tale user. Your opponent pays 1 more to play a chance during your turn. I love this card. It is such a lovely card in the sense that it is control without having to cancel your opponent, without giving your opponent not the option to do something. Your opponent can still do their options, but they have to play 1 more in order to do them, in order to answer you. And I love this idea that black is going to have this sort of obscure type of control going for itself, where it just kind of like stops your opponents on a wider scale and not like a smaller scale. Like, all their stuff can still be counter and all that such, but when it comes to like actually playing against black, they're like, nah, you're gonna have to play our way, or you're gonna have to not play at all. You have your turn, I have my turn. So I'm going to see this guy definitely on the uprise for sure. He's going to help a lot of games go later on into turns. And we may actually see him being a lot of life gain decks, a lot of decks that want to go into late game. And I could definitely see him being in something like a Scarlet deck that just wants to be able to like do stuff, but not want Scarlet to get hurt all that much. So pretty much meta defining in all honesty. That's all I can say about that guy. Little buck-toothed teeth. What you doing? Demon in the Moonlight. It's a 2-cost 6/6 defense attack thing. It's a demon. That's kind of cool that we got a demon going on here. What's not cool? It has those little time wheel things that just like, okay, cool. So Kage could run this, and that's about it. I mean, not super excited about that. So spend a time wheel, this card gains precision until end of turn, or spend a time wheel, this card gains whenever this card deals damage to J Resonator. Destroy that J Resonator until end of turn. It's useful in literally a Kaguya deck, but nowhere else. It doesn't do anything fancy otherwise. There's not a lot of other decks that are going to have time wheel aside from mono water, and when I said mono water, that kind of gave the answer to why this would not be in that deck. You do not want to run mono water and also a black card just randomly there. It doesn't really work, and if you did, it might as well be something like Thought Control or something, a chat that you can use with Magic Wind Chime. Not this. Essence of the Void. It's a 3-costing card. Cthulhu, 8 attack, 8 defense. Whenever this card enters the field, destroy target damage resonator. I like the idea of these resonators coming in and they have like additional effect and everything, but if it really was going to have this type of effect, I would rather it be a 2-cost 6/6 instead, where it could actually do something in comparison to this, where it's just taking up a 3 slot when it doesn't really need to take up a 3 slot. Like, if you're going to have cards that are like, destroy target damage resonator, destroy target rested resonator, you want them on the 2-cost or less. You don't want them on a random 3 that just has mediocre attack in comparison to other 3-costers that could do something. So overall, you're not going to run this card. I'm not going to run this card. Nobody is. Not rightly, anyway. It could be good in draft. I wouldn't doubt that one bit. But in terms of actual construction deck, no. You're not going to play this card. No one is. Not unless you're really into Cthulhu's. Every last ounce of strength is 3 cost and it's bad. Draw 3 cards, you lose 600 life. At first it seems like a good idea, but then you remember Blood Spray exists. And it's not nearly as bad. And you also get the option to kill a Resonator. So, yeah. Bad card. If it had a mystery counter, Awaken, where it's just like, remove 2 mystery counters, you don't lose life. Or you gain 800 life. That'd be pretty cool. I would love that as an idea for this card, but as it is right now, it just doesn't really work. So, bad card. Lint of Insight. Chant Mystery. 1 costing dark. Name a card. Your opponent reveals their hand and discards all cards that share a name with that card. Remove 2 mystery counters from your J roller. This card in your graveyard gains Remnant until end of turn. That's pretty freaking sick. If they have Lorite in their hand and you name Lorite, all the Lorites are gone. Even then, if you don't name it, you still get to look at your opponent's hand. You still what they had to see. This has the full potential to discard 4 cards in their entire hand, or just get rid of 1 little nuisance in comparison. It's pretty freaking sweet, and on top of that, you can let it gain Remnant to also do it again to any other cards that your opponent may have that are extra. This is the kind of card that you want for discarding, and by all means, it is going to see a lot of play, a ton of play, especially with the way that Reiya works now with her Awaken, combos with this card. So I'm glad to see this come into play and be somewhat of a better card than Thought Control, in more ways than one, honestly. But thankfully it does have that mystery counterplay, so you're only really going to see this in Reiya. as a big answer in comparison to everybody else, where they will have to decide whether to run mystery counters or not. But for everybody else, there's thought control. Kintaro, what is with this dude? Just look at him, he's all kinds of pissed off. What are you pissed off about, Kintaro? What do you have to worry about? You're a 2-cost 6/6, standard affair fairy tale. Peh. At least he has a good effect, right? When this card enters the field, put a +100/+100 counter on each on it for each fairy tale and non-fairy tale beast you control. So pretty much as long as it's not a fairy tale beast, you could get it additional cost. You could get like a little additional thing to it, or you could just run it in a fairy tale deck and just get it that way. They're just trying to make sure you don't cash in on both sides at once, which is pretty cool considering the next card we're going to look into. But still, this has the potential to be 1,000 pretty quickly. It also has the potential of just being able to do some really good stuff to ruin your opponent with that precision. And frankly, I love how they're giving precision to a lot of cards, because they understand that people are not using precision, because overall it's better just to attack your opponent in comparison. But we're starting to finally get some proper options here, and I kind of hope that Dark will have precision more often than not as its little own like extra keyword thing. Regardless, I like how this card sets itself up to be working in 2 different decks, both Fairy Tale and Beast, sort of tribal. So yeah, pretty cool. Kentaro's partner. He's a Fairy Tale beast. Literally, they had to name drop him without name dropping him on his partner's card, just to make sure things didn't get too out of hand. When this card enters the field, target J Resonator gains -200/-200 until end of turn. That's a hella good card, and way better than our other little black leaf guy that we had going on for ourselves. But again, that's kind of just like Gill's little thing. This is for everybody else. Attack 400, defense 300. Not bad stats for a 1-cost. Really not. Actually pretty freaking good, and could take down a lot of 1-costs just by arriving. So yeah, this is a pretty good card for a Fairy Tale / Beast deck. And it can go in either one, and it partners with Kentaro's. Not nearly as much as it could, because Kentaro's were like, just like, hold up a minute. But still, really good 1-costers now, and liking what I'm seeing with these black cards, so yeah. Night of the Black Moon. Why? Why is it a 4-cost? I don't understand this. Again, if there's some sort of like new J rule that's like, where rabbits cost no void. Like all the void that you would have to play, the void will, you don't have to pay it. I would understand why this card would be a thing, but aside from that, just nah. I mean, cool, in its attack 1,000, defense 1,000, and it has heckin' good art, and it's a very interesting card design, the fact that it discards a card for each player, but it's not worth the drawback. You should make this like a 15 if it was discarding a card for each opponent or some jazz like that. So really, I'm just wondering, who is this card for? Who would use this card aside from people that really love this art? Because it's such a shame, because it's really good art. Ugh! Life or Death Struggle. 2-coster chant. Each player discards a card, then each player banishes the Resonator with the highest cost among their Resonators they control. That's a lovely situation right there. That's the kind of little play that I'd like to see. You're running Scarlet, you run this card. That's effectively what you do. It targets Resonators and not J rulers, J Resonators. So you're pretty fine on that. You don't mind discarding cards, and you can help clear the board field just completely because of that. And that also means that you could use, like, just pretty much get rid of your hand at the same time. So say this is your second card. You have 2 cards in your hand. You have this card, and you have like a dinosaur Resonator or whatever. Then you had 2 cards out on the field. One of them is like 1,700 or something like that. Like basically you could just take that down, and it's like a 4-coster, and then there's like a 1-cost just out of nowhere and whatnot. So obviously they're gonna have to banish the 4-costing one. But you could just kill that little 4-costing one, or kill the little 1-cost, and just like have them have no Resonators. Suddenly you flip with Charlotte, and then you're just attacking them for freezies. And that I like. I like that idea of this life or death struggle really helping out Scarlet without having to actually say Scarlet's name. And on top of that, it could be used for other control decks that want to just discard people's hands. And I like that idea that we're getting more and more decks that are trying to discard hands as an interesting counterplay to it. So this is definitely one of those cards that is going to be very viable for discard decks and Scarlet decks. But aside from that, that's it. It sets up for what it wants to do, and it's good at what it does. Moonlight Kanata. 3 costing card. It's an addition though, and at the beginning of each player's main phase, that player loses 400 life. What I like about this card, you could use this in life gain decks. That is pretty fantastic in my eyes. Of course, Tree is still in play as of this cluster, but the next cluster, which is hecking soon, we're talking like at September time and whatnot, we'll be able to see this card actually come into full shiny play with life gain decks that have this card and just life gain all over the place. This is their actual win condition. They're just gonna mill you out entirely with either losing life or vice versa. I love the idea of this card full out, and I like what it could combo into. But obviously it could be a big drawback too if you're really running down on life and all that such. But with life gain decks going to be on the rise, I definitely would love to see this card come into play. Reiya the Black Owl. Wow, 2 costing card that has some pretty freaking good stats. 500 attack, defense 700, and this card cannot be attacked. And then on top of that, it's your only invert this entire little situation. So that's not a weird little thing. So then we look at its invert, and it's 0. Zergo's back. What are you doing here? Human inverse. Turns out she was the owl all along, which is pretty cool. And its attack is 800, defense 900. That's kind of insane considering that she still also has flying on top of that. You have to wait, what, a turn? A turn on a 2 cost to make it into this 3 cost is pretty freaking great. I love this card just on that alone. And on top of that, it has amazing play right here. Entities you control gain whenever a spell is targeted, whenever this card is targeted by this spell or ability, cancel that spell or ability. This ability triggers only once per turn. That's insane. That effectively gives everybody a little barrier every time. Like every single turn, they have it to where you can't attack them, you can't target them at all, and that's insane to me that they could do it that way. 0 has effectively changed the meta just by this card alone, and I'm gonna see this a lot in combo with that little bucktooth boy that makes chance cost an additional 1. So we're gonna see a lot more controlling black decks that have this sort of discard cards. You can't target my stuff, and I'm basically just not gonna let you play my turn. I love that idea so much. So I can definitely see black coming up the rise here for sure, but it only has a few cards in comparison to what both light and green have in comparison to like really change the meta. But at the very least, Reiya does have a ton of new tools to use, and this card is definitely included. Even Amo could use this card to like no end, and it's kind of insane that when you think about it. Reiya's Gale. Target Resistor gains minus 500 until end of turn. It's a 1 costing quick cast. Kinda cool. It could actually be a really good 1 costing kill card. And with something like Swords of the New Moon, which basically just kills a target Resistor 1 or less, and or 4 or less, this kind of is like a better answer for anyone that doesn't run mystery counters and wants to use something like Sword of the New Moon. Is it the best card out there to kill? Obviously not, but this does help control and mitigate some of the rush that could potentially happen when it comes to like things like Shayla, Kirik, and otherwise anything else. So you're going to see this in a lot of control decks for sure, but I don't think you're going to see it in comparison to Sword of the New Moon or various other decks like that. But it's at least something that more than just Reiya could use, and I like that idea for sure. Definitely a good card if you have to really like just get a Resonator down and it really only costs 2 cards to like get him down to 5,000. So yeah, pretty good for that. And here we got Requiem of the Soul. 1 costing chant, put target resonator from your graveyard into your hand. That's pretty cool. I like this card, but there are way better cards than this card, and that's just the sad truth. It really is. We got plenty of cards that already do this kind of effect before. We have Spiderweb, that's a quick cast that does that. We also have Revival of the Clan, which also does that, and actually you get more stuff with the mystery counters. So it adds on to this whole entire, why did they make this card? Was it just for draft play? Because that's the way that I see it. This card is good in draft play for sure. Anywhere else? No, it's not. Why would you run it? You have 2 other viable cards, both chant-wise and quick cast-wise. So I have to ask, why did they make this card the way that they did? Couldn't they just have added some sort of effect, even just like a mystery chant, or maybe even, dare I say it, a story chant? Aurora chant would also be good. These are all valid contenders that they could literally just add 1 little extra thing to it and it'd be a better card. But sadly, we just have a card that has amazing art. Sleeping Vampire is aggro dark and I love it. 1 cost, attack 300, defense 400, Vampire. At the beginning of your main phase, this card gains plus 200 and flying until end of turn. You combo that with a bunch of other vampires that you help do it, and suddenly we have Vampire Tribal going at it right there. Just, that's some good stuff. That's some great stuff. I love that idea. Makes me really, really happy to see this happen. It really does. And I love the art for it, because the 2 swords and the vampire just being there, pretty heckin' cool, honestly. I really love what's going on with this whole card. It's not super overpowered. It can be stopped, but it's still cool that it's a 1 costing card and you still do a lot of neat little things. Love this card. The night before the decisive battle, which Raya and Gill reflect on the fact that they did each other. At least it looks like that to me. I mean, it really does, right? It's a 1 costing chant, search your deck for a mystery, and then reveal it and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Kinda cool, not the best, but kinda cool. Could definitely be used in mystery decks for sure, for Raya and whatnot, but I do feel any kind of search your deck for a card, not the best thing. It feels like just filler to me in comparison. I don't like filler. I understand people that love these kind of cards. I don't. This card was just not made for me. I don't deck build that way. For those that do, there you go. The Resistor of Destiny. I love how good looking this card is, but it's 700 attack, 700 defense, 3 costing card. It's okay as a dark elf, but we have better dark elves. It's not the worst dark elf support. It's just, where would you put it? When this card is put in the graveyard from the field, target J resonator gains -300 till end of turn. Cool, whatever, we got that, but aside from maybe targeting Scarlet and Amel, which Amel, like, honestly, how are you gonna get this card to kill Amel? Regardless, it's still one of those cards that just doesn't know what it wants to be. It could trade off with 1,000 attacker, but for the most part, I don't know why we want to do that when you could just kill the 1,000 attack with the 2, like, costing, with 2 of the -500 costing card right there that we have. So, yeah, I don't see the point of this card, although I do love her in armor. I love me a girl in armor, I gotta tell y'all. Maybe some other time, the Resistor of Destiny, you could have been a good card. Oh no! Now we have this though. Time Reversal! 1 costing card. Why? Draw a card. Put a mystery counter on your J roller. Then Awaken. Remove 3 mystery counters from your J roller. At the next end of turn, recover all of them. All entities you control. That's Magic Stone. That's additions. That's resonators. That's J resonators. Effectively enough, it's so broken that it's not broken. It's the weirdest sense of the word. And it doesn't make sense to me because it's all at the end of turn. That means you can get all your quick casts going on there at the end of turn or at their turn. You could do stuff. It just is really, really nasty card. And it's going to see a ton of play coming up there. It is definitely one of the best cards out there, but I see why they did not give it a mystery chant, because searching for this card would be ridiculous. Yeah, one of the few times where I actually say searching for this card would be ridiculous. But, considering everything, this could go into an IU deck. I'm just saying. It really could. Vice Leader of the Silverest Thieves, Blazer. I don't understand hype for this card because at the beginning of your main phase, draw a card. Doesn't seem good to me. It just doesn't. It's 3 costing cards, so you will only get this on turn 4 for your next draw. And you have that attack 700, defense 800, so it's easy to kill off. Honestly, in comparison, if it was 1,000 or something, maybe. But I just don't see the super big thing about it. I really don't. Overall, I don't think this card is worth playing at all. You have better options, in all honesty, when it comes to the 3 costers. You have better options to stop your opponent or draw cards of Blood Spray. So, honestly, I feel this card is outclassed in all degrees. They just don't have any human tribal that makes it worth it, so meh. Now we got the variant of Essence of the Void. It's a 3 costing card like usual, but this time with the null it gains plus 200 and precision. It is the better of the 2, and obviously would only use it for Scarlet. But like I said before, I do feel there are better 3 costers out there, especially when it comes to dinos. So yeah, I wouldn't run this card still. It's a better card, but it's like saying that a bologna sandwich is slightly better than a bread sandwich. It just doesn't work that way, you know? Well, there you have it, folks. Those are all the black cards within the new Force of Will set, Winds of the Ominous Moon. I am liking what black is turning into, or darkness. God dang it, I really need to be better with my words. Point being, I feel like darkness is going to be the next up-and-comer when it comes to facing off against green and being able to stop green in comparison. I do feel like it's exactly the opposite foil of it, and it will be more of like a rock, paper, scissors thing where black and green face off each other. Black wins over green, green wins over probably like red or something, red wins over something or other. I don't have a time to look for this. My point being, it feels like darkness is finally getting proper stuff when it comes to, like, we have counterplay, but not in the sense that we could actually counter your cards. Just in the sense that we could discard your cards before you're able to use them. And I love that idea. I really, really do. So, if you like this video, please share it if you can. Be appreciated. And I shall see you all later, okay? Till next time, sayonara. Bye-bye.